Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Super excited to have you with us for our Mastering Making Insights from our JP Plus employee panel. I have three of my favorite coworkers here with me today. I may or may not have bribed them to be here to talk with you, but we're super excited to just kind of chat a little bit about some different topics. Some commonly asked questions that we get. We got some questions from our poll yesterday that you guys were interested in getting answers. So I'm going to start by introducing my panel here. I have Erin Stout, Amy McGee, and Evan Hartman. So I guess I'm just going to kind of start. For those of you who may not know these employees, just give us a little bit of a background and how you ended up working at Johnson Plastics Plus. So we'll start with Erin.
Well, I have been here for 6 years. My background is had my own business for about 12. Been in the screen printing industry since pretty much out of high school. Then got into graphic arts and did color separations, my first screen printing job. And then from there, kind of grew into embroidery, laser engraving, sublimation, and then eventually found myself here. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Amy?
So my name's Amy McGee, and I've been with Johnson Plastics now for about just a little over a year. I come from the laser engraving industry, which I've been in for over 25 years now. And yeah, I found myself with Johnson Plastics, like I said, about a year ago, and I have really enjoyed my time. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Jackie. I'm Evan, and I am an account manager and sales rep with Johnson Plastics. I've been here just over 5 years in a similar role pretty much the entire time. Prior to this, I spent about a decade in wireless. As a hobby, I have spent a lot of time dabbling with 3D printers, CNC machines, just a lot of nerd-related hobbies that are adjacent to that. So it's been super fun to kind of, see what our customers make and what our products get turned into, and that appeals to me a lot. So that's one of my favorite things to see.
Awesome. Yeah, so we've got a lot of knowledge at this table with us today. So I'm really excited to dive in to some of the questions that you guys have for our panel. So my first question is actually going to be, again, for Erin. So I'm not sure if people who are listening or watching know what the customer success team is, but one of the things that your team handles is helping to troubleshoot equipment, get equipment set up, keep things running. So my question is, what is the most common question you get from customers when troubleshooting equipment, and what is, like, if you could just let every customer know one thing, what would it be?
I would say that probably the most common call or appointment that we have that customers make is probably a connection issue. Go to print, doesn't print. Go to send something over to the laser, doesn't laser. I would say that's probably the most common. I would say a close second would be colors are off, or we're trying to print and the colors aren't what they're supposed to be. So those are probably the two most common issues that we have. So
Yeah. So okay. So for customers, you would say first thing to do if something's not printing, check the connection.
I would say usually a connection issue can be something like maybe if they're going through Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi isn't connecting. Mm-hmm. It might be their router or something like that. Could be all of a sudden a USB port goes bad. Sometimes that has the issue. Sometimes there's a firmware issue or update, or there's maybe Microsoft does an update and stuff. There's like a lot of different factors, and that's why we get a lot of calls on it.
Yeah.
So that's part of we have to kind of dig in and try to figure out what maybe the issue is. So yeah.
Awesome. And I know you'd mentioned about color issues.
Yep.
And we do have some really good resources that your team has put together about, sublimation, colors, and there's some blogs that you guys can find if you have specific questions. I don't know if you have anything to add about that, or?
I think sometimes if every printer has its own drivers and profiles and things like that, and if it's not set up quite right, you're not always going to get the correct color. So sometimes it's on the initial setup. Sometimes, again, there's updates and things kind of change. Sometimes there's just colors you can't get. The color palette, the CMY color palette isn't quite as big as the RGB, or a lot of people like to use the Pantone matching system, and those colors just your fluorescence or your bright greens and lime greens and just tough colors to get, and sometimes we just can't get them. So sometimes we kind of talk to the customers and try to get as close as we can, but sometimes you can't always match it. So.
Okay. So my next question is for Amy. So as Amy mentioned, she works on our equipment team. And a question that I have is, when's the best time to buy new equipment?
That's a good question, although I don't think there's one single answer for that. Depends on, what you're doing, how much are you taxing the equipment that you have. So, are you working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and still not being able to keep up with production? Probably time to add some capacity. If you're starting to, have to do more maintenance, and you get the little maintenance costs start to go up, and the machines, start to show the wear and tear, that's a good sign. Or just in your budget planning, if you're planning for growth, make sure you consider your production too, and make sure that you've got the production capacity to keep up with your planned growth. So it's really important to think about it in the budgeting phase as well.
Yeah. So kind of along those lines, this is just for anybody who wants to answer. Are there any new pieces of equipment or new technologies that you guys are especially excited about to see in the industry?
I'll start. I'm really excited about all the new desktop UV LED printers that we have brought on. And we've got some really neat new features in some of the new lasers that are coming out too.
Yeah.
So the Beambox 2, I really love the capabilities that opens up, especially for those 40-ounce tumblers.
Yeah.
So that's really nice.
The Beambox 2 is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I think you can engrave like the inside of a bowl and some rings, and like the rotary is just, it opens a lot of doors.
The rotary is more versatile than any rotary I've seen on the market. It's really nice.
Yeah. So for Aaron, I have another question. I know he's super excited.
Well, I feel bad for Evan down there. That's all I said.
So
Evan has favorite equipment.
yeah,
Yeah, do you have any
we'll get
favorite
to
equipment?
Evan. Don't worry.
It's okay. I'm sure she has something.
My questions are not in any particular order. Aaron just happens to be in the hot seat right next to me today. So we just were talking a little bit about the customer success team. So I just wanted to kind of answer for anybody who may not know, what exactly does your team do?
We wear quite a few different hats.
Okay.
So first and foremost, it's like we talked about before, we take care of the customers. That's number one. We also work with other departments as well. Any new equipment that comes in, we test those, make sure that it's kind of what we expect. Something that JP Plus, we want to put our name behind it, so we want to make sure it holds up to maybe high volume. Maybe it's a piece of equipment that might sit a little bit, so we want to make sure that if it sits a week or so, you come back and it's going to work. So we have a pretty good full gamut of testing that we do for equipment. We also do testing on any new material that might come in. We want to make sure that we have our settings and things dialed in, which then leads to, we also do all the tech tips that you see on the website. We produce those. We try to make sure that all the settings work, and it's not always perfect, but we give a range, so that way it's a starting point for the customer. We also work on the templates, so any of the templates that you see on there, our team produces that. We also work with marketing, any videos that we feel like if we're starting to get a high volume of calls on a particular issue or a particular question, sometimes we'll do a video on that. We also help with any new equipment that we want to showcase at a trade show. We produce those samples that you'll see at trade shows. We also, I'm sure I'm going to forget some things. We work with product management, purchasing. So if a customer, let's say, gets a couple cases of mugs, maybe one case works fine, maybe one case all of a sudden they start having issues. We may have to maybe double check and make sure that we didn't get a bad case of material with that we maybe have to pull or something like that. So that's just a few things that we also help with any samples that need to go out. We try to assist with the demos that we provide. Yeah, we're
lot.
pretty good. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
pretty busy. And on top of that, we continue to train. We have to train on the new equipment because we have to make sure that we can assist any customers that are having issues. So when we do have some downtime, we're working on the machines and trying to be. And we don't have the answers to everything, but we try to be as knowledgeable as we can.
Yeah,
So.
and I think you mentioned it, but just in case you didn't, installs.
Yes, we do
Yeah.
any installs. So if a customer purchases a new piece of equipment, they're not comfortable with running it out of the gate. Maybe they're new to the technology, so they can call up, make an appointment, and set like an hour and a half aside, and we'll make sure the piece of equipment's working right, and then we'll also go through the software. We'll install the software. If we need to, then we'll also train them on the software as well. So.
Yeah, I think that's awesome because I'm the kind of person, I get a shiny new toy that had a hefty price tag, I'm gonna be nervous to open it up and, get started. So I think it's nice to have that resource, and I think you guys are very aptly named customer success. You're there
Try.
to help
Yeah.
from when you open the box to when you're running projects and even after that. So along those lines, I do have a question for Evan now down there at the end.
All right.
So I like to think that Johnson Plastics Plus, we're very a customer-focused organization. Without our customers, we don't exist. So
absolutely.
I have a question. Do you have a favorite success story or a story about a customer that you'd like to share from your time as an account manager?
Yeah, sure. I would say that in the last year, I'm aware of two that I've worked with. Customers that started a side hustle out of their garage or a shed behind their house, and with finding creative products to offer, new ways to personalize things. Both of these I'm thinking of are more on the hat and apparel market. But seeing them in a year or just over a year's time go from working out of a bay of their garage or a shed at the back of their house to buying or renting a large warehouse to accommodate their new equipment. And it started out as maybe just a husband and wife team, and now they've got multiple employees that are a part of that production stage, and just seeing them grow. In my time here, my favorite phone calls with customers that I work with are the "I just quit my day job" call.
Yeah.
And nothing makes me happier than someone I started working out with them, and it is their side hustle. They're trying to get something going. They're trying to build a business, build a brand. And then, a few weeks, a few months, a year or two down the road, and they're like, hey, I just quit my day job. I am doing this full time. And, and a lot of times they'll say that, hey, the resources and the things that you guys offer were a very important part of us getting to where we are. And nothing makes me happier than those calls. So.
Yeah. So along those lines, if somebody maybe is dreaming of quitting their day job and they're still maybe in the garage working and grinding, trying to get to that point, do you guys see any trends or anything, in the market right now that seems to be really taking off?
I have definitely seen a lot of traction from hat and apparel marking, so putting things like leatherette or even plastic onto hats. That has been a huge market segment that has grown. I'm seeing people use our products to make things like aftermarket accessories for vehicles and marine. That's been pretty cool to see. So those are the two off the top of my head.
Very cool. So, Amy, I think you mentioned you were in the industry for 20 plus years.
25.
Yeah.
Years. I'm just aging myself. I mean 10.
You need the Bob Barker mic. Go ahead.
So you started when you were 1.
Yeah, exactly.
So what have you seen change the most about this industry or in those years? I know that's a big question.
That is a big question. I think a lot of it is just access, especially during the COVID times. I think that was the biggest change. And along the lines of what Evan said, is we saw a lot of those people that, needed maybe not even a side hustle, maybe they lost their job. And this type of industry gave them the opportunity to start something new and have a source for income and do something really cool that they love to do. So just seeing that growth and just all of the different products and technology. I mean, we have everything from lasers to sublimation to UV LED, final print and cut. What am I forgetting? Heat presses. I mean, so many different pieces of technology and blanks and materials to go with it that people could get really creative and create some really unique products that stand out and work well in the marketplace.
Awesome. So along those lines, I'm going to ask everybody on the panel this. What is your favorite technology? And I'm going to add right now because I don't think asking what your favorite technology is really fair because I don't think you can pick one. So I'm just going to say at the moment, what is your favorite technology and why?
Lasers is where my heart is. It's where my background is and what I know the best. But I tell you what, when I started with JPP, it kind of brought color to my life. So I really I'm enjoying the sublimation and the UV LED as well.
Yeah.
So just all of those options together. But my heart's with lasers.
Yeah. What about you, Evan?
I'm going to say right now it's going to be laser engraving for the moment. I love taking a piece of flat something, wood, plastic, whatever, and turning it into something else like this very cool plant that we have sitting over here that's made out of Romark's color shop woods. So just a simple sheet of wood that's 12 by 24 inches, and you turn it into something really cool like that. So that's my favorite thing.
Aaron, are you going to break the mold? Or let's see what he has to say.
I think there's a joke in here somewhere, but for me, I think it's UV. I think it's UV
Okay.
LED. I think the amount of creativity with UV, and you can with any of the technologies, but for me, I like the color aspect. I like coming from a screen printing background. I like how UV kind of works a little bit like screen printing. How you got to layer things. You can be creative with the clear and the varnish to make things look really cool and realistic. And so UV for me is where it's at. So.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing is you can even combine all of those technologies
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
make a super technology. So I don't think I can pick one. I know I'm not really on the panel. Nobody asked me, but I can't pick one.
We're asking.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Amy, making me feel important. So another question I have is, how does JP Plus support innovation and creativity for our customers? So like Evan said, we have so many things that they start as a flat sheet of material, and then our customers make some amazing things. I'm always amazed at what our products become. So are there any tools or resources or things that you wish more customers knew about that we provide as a company?
So yeah, you're absolutely right. Customers are so creative, and things that these customers can come up with, like sometimes just blow my mind. And I think of myself as a kind of a creative person, and I'm like, some of these guys, these customers are on another level. I would say for me, I think we spend a lot of time trying to make things as easy as possible for the customers. Like I think Amy said, customers, we're always thinking about them from our website to, to how we train people. But we always our tech tips and templates are always trying to make it as easy and as possible, and also that they can get going as quickly as possible. It's not like they don't have to do the testing. We already did that for them. So I just always encourage customers, if you're buying something off our website, there's a tech tip in there somewhere. And if it's not, don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, what's the starting point on this? So.
Anybody else?
I would just second what Aaron said. The website has so many great resources on there, from webinars to how-to videos to the tech tips, and this company has so much knowledge and experience within it, and in the whole TRG group together with Geifert and RCL and Finish Tech. I mean, there's a ton of expertise in this organization that can help.
Yeah. So kind of along those lines about, expertise, this question is for Evan. So can you explain the benefit of working with an account executive? So right now we're kind of in a world where, I'm of the generation where if I don't have to talk to somebody on the phone, I don't really want to. But sometimes but then when you want to talk to somebody and you can't get a hold of them, it's the most frustrating thing in the world. So can you talk a little bit about your role at the company and why we still have account executives and what value you bring?
Absolutely.
To our
So
customers?
I would say that there's probably one of the most important aspects of my job and how I help our customers and companies that partner with us, because that's really what it is. It's a partnership. We are here to support you. We're invested in your success. And so my role is one to understand your business, your market, hopefully as well as you do, as much as you're willing to share with me, because I have other, similar customers and other industries that I work with. I have knowledge that I can bring in from that and kind of help you understand what might be a good growth path for you. I have customers that I have said, hey, have you considered doing X? This seems like a really good fit for what you do and the people you serve right now. And they're like, well, I haven't thought of it that way, but let me give it a try. And, we connect with them a few weeks later and like, hey, I'm seeing traction from this. We've gotten several substantial orders, or we're now partnered with another company because of that technology or because of that product type that you suggested. So for me, I think that probably one of the biggest things that I can do to add value to your organization is just kind of that bird's eye view of the market, because if you're a business owner or machine operator, you are probably better at your job than I will ever be. However, seeing just kind of a little bit overarching view of what's going on in the market and being able to strategize with someone about the products, the technologies, and support. Maybe I need to get someone from Aaron's team to talk with you so that you can better understand how to leverage the equipment and technology you already purchased to maximize your profit and deliver something new. So that's kind of how I see my role, and it's strategizing, it's helping give them a larger view of the market and what's working for others and sharing that knowledge.
Yeah, awesome. So kind of along those lines of, you said we're really, it's a partnership with our customers, and we think of our customers as partners because I think, like I said earlier, without our customers, we don't exist. So my question for anybody on the panel, or everybody on the panel, whoever wants to answer, is what's the benefit of ordering and working with a company like Johnson Plastics Plus? We live in a world where there are so many things available to us. You can go to the big box websites and find something instantly. But what makes Johnson Plastics Plus different, and why would you recommend talking to a customer or somebody who's getting into this industry of working with a company who specifically is focused in on the personalization and sign making industry?
I'll take it first, and I'll be brief, and I'll just reiterate what I said before.
Okay.
Working with Johnson Plastics is working with a partner that's also invested in your success. Are there blanks for sublimation engraving that can be had on AliExpress and Amazon? Yes. Do AliExpress and Amazon care about your success with that product? Typically, they don't. They just want the product moved out the door. There's typically no one to call or reach out to if you need assistance with settings or artwork or templates or things like that. So I would encourage you, find a company and partner with them. It's someone that's invested in your success as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how you beat that. That's
I know that was a great
That's-
answer.
yeah, that's really the key. I think it's the partnership, and it's the partnership and the just having us to work with and the expertise to brainstorm and just help them every step of the way. I think that's why you work with JPB.
Yeah, so with equipment specifically, so I know that's kind of where you're zeroed in on. Do you have any thoughts on buying refurbed equipment or like converting equipment versus buying something new, or maybe spending a little bit more? Because I think the thing with equipment is everybody likes to buy things, but nobody likes to spend money, right? Like, I love buying things, but I don't like seeing money go out of my account. So it's always very nerve-wracking when you're making that big of an investment. So I'll get to my point here eventually, I promise. Why do you think it's worth buying new equipment?
It's just the reliability. I mean,
Okay.
you get the reliability, you get the warranty. I sell new equipment, so that's a good reason too.
You get to work with Amy.
You get to work with me. Yeah, so I mean that's really the key, and it's you never know. It's kind of like when you buy a used car. You don't know what that car has been through. Same thing. You don't know how well that piece of equipment was taken care of. Maybe it looks all clean and shiny right now, but you don't know what it's been through. So to me, new equipment when possible is the way to go.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for somebody who maybe is like really itching to kind of get started? They have that goal of, like Evan said, moving from the garage to quitting my full-time job, but maybe they don't have the funds right now, or they're just like not quite ready. Do you have any recommendations for just how to get started? Or anybody on the panel, really?
Yeah, well, from a funding standpoint, there's always leasing options, right? So we have some finance partners that we work with that we have some really great finance options. So that's a way to get started without having to, use your own cash and keep that cash in the bank. But really, it's just have a plan, pick your niche, and then put it out there. Put it out there. There's so many different areas to start a new business, whether it be Facebook Marketplace or Etsy or the hundreds of other platforms that you can use to get your name out there. Find a product, find your niche, find what you're passionate about, and go with it.
Yeah. Do you have any advice, Erin, from your time owning a business and being in this industry?
I second what Amy said. You got to find something you're passionate about, and there's so many resources out there to get ideas to kind of get started. I think a little bit on my end of things that when we talk to customers that purchase a new piece of equipment, I would always suggest just do your homework. Like understand kind of what you're getting into. Don't be afraid to call and ask questions. I think one of the things that we have, like everybody said, we have a lot of resources. And we're going to be honest with you. We don't want to just sell you a piece of equipment to sell it to you. We want to sell to you to be successful. And I think that's important. And I think you understand. Is it okay if I go on a tangent here?
Yeah,
Is that-
go for it.
I think it also another thing to do is to understand, like when you're buying a piece of equipment, I'm gonna get on a soapbox here. When you're buying something with that, let's say that's ink based and it has white, you have to understand what you're getting yourself into, because white ink, anything that has white ink is gonna use up more ink. And so a lot of times we get customers, and I shouldn't say a lot of times, but sometimes we get customers and they're like, we're just blowing through the white ink, and you have to understand why it's going through the white ink. You have to understand that the reason for it and why, and it's not that we're just, the companies aren't just trying to drain ink from your printer. There's a reason for it, and I can keep going with this. Do you want me to keep going with this? So in the screen, I don't know. In the screen printing world, you have everything's printed in layers, right? And to understand screen printing is, I know that's not technology, but I'll get there. You have different meshes, and it's like the lower the mesh, the more ink that goes through, right?
Okay.
So when you're printing white, you want to have a lower mesh screen. When you're printing any of the other colors, you have a higher mesh screen. So when you have a lower mesh screen, you're going to put more ink down. You're going to go through, you have to put more white down because it needs that opacity. and blah, blah, blah. So if you go into any screen printing world, you walk in, they're going to have tons of gallons of ink of different colors. And they're going to have one 5-gallon bucket of white because they're always going to go through the white ink faster because you put more down, you add layers, you need to, what they call a hit flash hit, which is adding another layer to it. So you're going to go through more white ink. It's the same thing with the printers. And our printers that are at more entry level, the problem with that is that you've got just gallons of ink. So you're constantly going through that white, and we have, our things that have white ink here, our BY printers and our DTG printers and stuff like that. We carry 3 whites to every one color, CMYK, because you're just going to have to go through it. The process is still the same. It's just a printer's printing it rather than a screen. You're pushing it through a screen. So I don't know if that made sense or if that was too much information, but those sort of things, like you get these customers who are really upset and they might not be charging enough because they're going through ink and they get frustrated, and you just want to make sure that they understand why you're going through the wedding. So that's kind of, I don't know how the heck I got there, but
One sentence on that. No, it dovetails into what I was going to say, which is understand your material costs and your labor costs. Don't sell yourself short. Don't try and race to the bottom on the products that you're selling, because someone will always sell it cheaper than you. There's always, if you don't value your time, there's always someone who values their own time less than you. So that's my other piece of advice is to not sell yourself short. Understand your material costs that go into that, and understand that the machines and the products that you get from us or elsewhere, they make money for you, but you need to understand what the costs are that are wrapped up into that. Dive into it, know it well, and then make sure that you're setting your prices appropriately so that, at the end of a long day, you feel good about what went out the door and what invoices you're going to have, and not think, man, I'm really working my tail off here, and I'm not seeing the fruits of that. So that was more
Yeah.
than a sentence. I'm sorry.
Know your numbers.
So I think that really kind of ties into what Aaron was saying earlier about, how we have some customers and we look at what they do and we're like, wow, that is amazing. I think we have a group of pretty creative people here, and I'm still consistently amazed at what our customers create. So to Evan's point, don't sell yourself short for that creativity. There's so much value that you're adding, and we're just supplying the tools for it. So yeah, I think that's a great point. Did you have anything to add, Amy? I think I heard you say something. I think you had a sentence.
I said, know your numbers.
Okay. Yes. Awesome. Anything else that anybody wants to add, or anything you want the JP Plus customers to know about mastering making?
You were doing so good.
Oh, okay. I want to go back to one of the questions you had that
Sure.
you had what people would like to know about JP Plus.
Yeah.
One thing I love working here is it's like a family, and all the departments work really well together. I can honestly say that there's not a person in this company that I don't enjoy working with. And when you have a company that is like this, it carries over to the customers, because if you care about your job, you're going to care about the people you're working with, and that just doesn't mean the people here, but the people that are our customers and the people we're working with. And I have an amazing group. Our departments, if we don't know the answer, we'll do everything we can to figure it out. And it's not just my department or our department. It's like that. It's every department here, and there's people that work here tirelessly trying to make things easier for our customers. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's really a special place to work.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that there's, anybody in the company who, on a Sunday night is dreading coming into work. And I think that really says a lot about the company. And to your point, it bleeds over into how we help the customers.
And she
I'm
always
proud of
has
that.
candy at her desk,
Yes, I do.
which even makes it even better. I mean,
I'm out of chocolate though. I need to get some chocolate so I can bribe Aaron to come back to our next panel. So
my favorite people are the people that have the candy at the center of their desk.
yes. So with that, I think I'll go ahead and wrap up our first panel. If you guys have any questions, Don't hesitate to reach out to our customer success team, reach out to equipment, or our sales representatives and account executives. You can find all of the resources that we talked about on jpplus.com. There's a ton of videos that were mentioned, those tech tips, templates, blog posts. We have a podcast that we release about once a month. So thank you guys for joining me, and this was a lot of